At the beginning of the movie, we see a publisher named Daniel hurrying home, but on the way he runs into his bachelor friend Patrick, who insists on a dinner so he can introduce his new flame. Daniel invites him over on Saturday even though he knows his wife Isabel will be furious. After all, Patrick divorced her best friend before. At home, Daniel gently eases into the topic and casually mentions the dinner with Patrick, but his wife immediately starts asking questions. Under pressure, he lies that he turned his friend down. She reminds him that Patrick can be met anywhere except in their home. At a restaurant, Daniel apologizes to Patrick and says he mixed up the dates. Saturday was packed with important plans. His friend doesn't care and instantly launches into raptures about his new girlfriend, comparing her to his ex-wife Lawrence. He admits he was bored with Lawrence and that you only live once and should enjoy it. Laugh, travel, make love. He asks Daniel whether he has ever thought of leaving his wife after 20 years of marriage, since he's still in demand. A waitress winks at the man. Suddenly, the scene cuts. It was Isabel's nightmare. Waking up, she tells her husband, "You can't break with an old friend just because he fell in love," and she allows him to invite Patrick and his girlfriend over. The evening of the dinner arrives. The couple dresses up, and Daniel asks his wife to forget about Lawrence for at least a couple of hours. Patrick thanks them for the hospitality, understanding how hard it is for Isabel to accept him. He asks them not to pry about how he met Emma, and he doesn't have time to explain why, when an eye-catching woman in a red dress walks in. Daniel is so dazzled that he automatically imagines her undressed and feels a stab of envy, because how did such a stunning young woman notice him? Trying to distract himself, he goes to his wife, who is indignant about the guest's look, and calls it vulgar. Isabel gets jealous, changes into another dress, but Daniel doesn't care. He's enthusiastically quizzing the couple. They talk about the penthouse they are planning to buy, and Daniel flies off into fantasies again. He and Emma kissing on the roof. Daniel snaps back to reality. Emma says she dreams of becoming an actress, and for now works in a bar. Isabel pulls her husband into the kitchen and shares her suspicions, because to her, Emma looks like an escort. She is hurt that Daniel didn't even notice she changed outfits, because the moment he sees a half-dressed beauty, his brain switches off. Daniel drifts into daydreams again where Emma is a theater star. He comes to her show, and then to her dressing room. When asked about his wife, he says he came alone, and then Emma admits she and Patrick have broken up. Daniel comes to his senses again. They are still sitting at the table. Emma says she is from Spain and has long wanted to introduce Patrick to her parents, but he keeps resisting. Daniel drifts off again. Emma takes him to a warm country, introduces him to her noisy family, and he sings her a love song. In reality, Daniel pours Emma some champagne. Isabel, despite being asked not to, asks where they met, putting the girl in an awkward spot. Daniel smooths it over by accidentally spilling his drink on Emma, and the talk instantly switches to how to get champagne stains out. The girl says she has spilled it on clients plenty of times. At that word, Isabel tenses up and insists on an answer about where they met. Blushing, Emma admits they met at a hospital because both were seeing the same gastroenterologist. Patrick did not want to bring it up because the topic is delicate. Soon, dinner wraps up. Emma offers to help Isabel with the dishes, and Daniel asks Patrick for his doctor's number. Supposedly his teeth hurt. Daniel goes to the dentist, and in the waiting room sits by a stunning girl, but he is knocked out most of all by the beauty of the assistant who helps him undress. Of course, that is another fantasy, while the dinner keeps going. Patrick invites the couple to Ibiza. Daniel instantly imagines the villa, Emma in a bright swimsuit, and himself unable to take his eyes off her. His mind suddenly lands on the question of her intimate hair color, and he blurts out loud, "Venetian blonde." The guests are stunned. Trying to wriggle out of it, he says he was thinking about his Venetian friend Roberto, and bolts to the kitchen. Isabel is baffled. Her husband has been acting strange all evening. Emma brings in the dirty dishes and asks what's for dessert. Daniel takes out pastries that need to be topped with melted chocolate, puts the pot on the stove. Emma comes closer, and they melt into a kiss. But a call from the dining room cuts it short. The girl heads for the side exit. They run, grab a taxi, and race to the airport. Of course, that is another fantasy. In reality, Emma notices the chocolate looks ready and asks for a taste. Daniel lets her lick the spoon, and just as he's about to lean in for a kiss, Patrick and Isabel walk in. Startled, he spills the pot on Emma. Isabel takes her to change, and Daniel apologizes to Patrick. His friend just smiles, since the girl cares more about people and life than about clothes. The man agrees and says, "Yeah, she's insatiable," then sees his friend's face and shuts up. Then Daniel daydreams again. On Ibiza, he watches Emma walk the pool's edge. She happily announces she got into a theater. In response, he confesses his love, but instantly laughs it off as a line from a play. At dinner, the talk is back to theater. Patrick gets bored and asks Emma to dance. She refuses, saying she is tired. He jokes he will have to find a younger fiancée. Emma takes offense and leaves. Later, in their room, Isabel tells her husband those two won't last because Emma doesn't love Patrick, and that only makes Daniel happier. His wife lies down to rest, and he goes to his friend to ask about Emma. Patrick swears it is real passion. Emma has a fiery temper, and she is Russian, not Spanish. Daniel shifts the talk to his friend's ex-wife Lawrence, and it turns out they split because their characters just didn't match. Back in reality, Isabel helps Emma wash the chocolate out of the dress. It was a gift from Patrick and cost a pretty penny, but Emma doesn't mind because she doesn't like red. Isabel offers her one of her own dresses. Then in the kitchen, Isabel lets Daniel have it. In her view, Emma is a stripper who only wants a man with money. She will drain him and toss him aside. She is furious with Patrick for bragging about luck and wealth, and with Daniel for drooling over the beauty. Left alone, the man admits out loud he is losing his head over Emma. He drifts into fantasy again. They have run away and are flying to Venice. He writes a novel about her while she lies naked in bed. Reality snaps back as Patrick wonders why his friend is spaced out all evening. Patrick orders a taxi through an app and shows off photos of an expensive villa in Ibiza. Daniel suddenly sees exactly what his wife sees. Nothing but bragging. Isabel and Emma return. Daniel suddenly explodes. With sarcasm, he notes that Patrick always has what others don't, and always gets the best. The friend, embarrassed, offers to install the same app if it bothers him so much, but Daniel refuses. He prefers the subway. As they say goodbye, Emma whispers in his ear that the chocolate had hazelnut. Isabel tries to understand why her husband snapped at Patrick. She suggests it was because of her remark about his smugness, and asks what he thinks of Emma. Daniel throws the same question back, and is surprised when Isabel admits she actually liked her, even though at first she didn't accept her. Daniel says he considers Emma vulgar and ordinary, and doesn't understand what his friend sees in her. He is sure Patrick just wants to provoke his jealousy. It's an obsession, and they shouldn't see each other anymore. Isabel leaves, muttering that the performance was brilliant. In the taxi, Patrick tells Emma he can't believe he put up with that jealous idiot. But the girl says she liked Daniel and found him tempting. At home, Patrick promises there will be no more awful dinners and asks Isabel to take back that nightmare dress. Emma takes offense and locks herself in her room. Meanwhile, Isabel goes to bed, and Daniel wants to be alone. When Emma opens the door to Patrick, she's in tears and suddenly confesses that it feels like she's in love. She asks him to forgive her. Suddenly, someone knocks at the door. The morning doorbell wakes Daniel too. Emma has come to return his wife's dress, but Isabel isn't home. The man invites her in for coffee. Emma apologizes for Patrick's behavior at dinner and advises Daniel not to visit them in Ibiza. He asks why, and she lays her hand over his and says he knows why. Then she quickly runs out. Daniel manages to call after her that he wants to ask her out somewhere, bold as that may sound. She smiles and asks him to call. And we are back to that evening after the theater. Daniel walks Emma home and admits he didn't tell his wife about the show, lying that he had dinner with a famous writer. Outside the girl's building, Daniel kisses her. He gets home very late and apologizes to his wife that the dinner dragged on. The next day, the spouses go for a walk. Isabel says Patrick broke up with Emma and begged Lawrence to come back, but she refused. Daniel visits his friend to support him. Patrick says Emma has fallen in love, apparently with the play's director. Daniel immediately goes to see the play, then stops by Emma's dressing room, where she is talking with a colleague. They spend the night together, but Emma realizes they need to stop. She is tired of meeting in secret so that his wife won't find out. The man suggests they slip away to Venice for a few days. They check into the very hotel from his fantasies. But Emma sees a pile of unread messages from Patrick, realizes she has made a mistake, and leaves, leaving a note with an apology asking him to go back to his wife. Daniel does exactly that. He asks Isabel's forgiveness, but his wife won't let him into the house, so he checks into a hotel and keeps trying to talk, but she declines his calls. He phones Emma from beneath her balcony and sees her in another man's arms. After that, Daniel lies in wait for his wife at home and begs her to come back, but she has firmly decided to split. Suddenly, it becomes clear. All of that was yet another fantasy. In reality, he is sitting in the room after dinner, and Isabel calls him to bed. He realizes how dear she is to him and how happy he is with her. The man tells his wife he loves her and suggests they go to Venice. This is the end of the film. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this film, and see you in new videos.